going through, as we're going through the 1990 New Zealand Bill of Rights, Australia's got their new Bill of Rights that was brought into Parliament in 2017. The New Zealand Bill of Rights has got 29 articles, but the main article is Section 19. Section 19 binds New Zealanders to more than 607 articles at the United Nations. And with it, the Section 19 is called Freedom from Discrimination. Freedom from discrimination, which, what does it mean? Discrimination means, the original meaning was to choose for something or to choose against something. So if you had two little girls that were living at home, maybe a little 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and you wanted to have a woman to come and take care of them, and you wanted to choose a woman, that would be illegal, because under the freedom from discrimination, that would be discriminating because you are choosing a specific person of female gender to come and take care of your children. So Section 19 is called Freedom from Discrimination, which means a freedom from choice, or an area where you will have no more choices. And if you go to the 607 articles that you are bound to by Section 19 in the New Zealand Bill of Rights, you will see that refugees or all the 370 million Indigenous people of the world are going to be guaranteed housing. They're going to be guaranteed upscale education in all their different languages, and it's all going to be paid for by you. And your freedom to choose about whether those people will get those things is going to be taken from you. So another word that we need to understand is the human rights. And what does WHO stand for? WHO, as opposed to the people's rights, the 1689 Bill of Rights, the English Bill of Rights, is called the people's rights, and that comes from the word people, P-E-O, or the peon slaves. They were peon slaves, and it drops the N and it adds P-L-E, and P-L-E stands for public legal education. So the people's rights came from the peon slaves, and then it's got P-L-E, which is public legal education. Public legal education. So this was called the people's rights, which gave a simple legal education to the peon slaves so that they could understand what their rights were. Now, human doesn't mean the same thing. The Human Rights Act at the United Nations. Let's go and have a look what human means. So the Latin definition of who, H-U, without man. When we speak about man, in the past, they used to use mankind, but then they changed it to be human or human. And in Latin, it means undeclined. And the definition of it is that it is a food from God for the wandering Jews. And you might want to understand who is the God. Well, if you go down to look at who in Arabic, it is the meaning of he, and it is used for a name in a thing called Sufism. What it means is it is the third person to avoid attribution of a grammatical gender to Allah. So they don't want Allah to be named either male or female. So they use this word who. So these two groups are using the word who. And then if you look at our 1689 Bill of Rights, 1689 Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights is for the people that I just told you about. And the Human Rights Act at the United Nations is for the human. And if you go and look at the 1689 Bill of Rights, it specifically tells you that those rights are for Protestants. And if you look at the human's rights, you will see that those rights are for these other groups here that are not Protestants. And one of the key rights that we had as Protestants in the 1689 Bill of Rights is that all Protestants had the right to have arms to protect themselves against the laws of the humans, because the humans have decapitation laws against us. So the Protestants came up with the people's rights. So if you're following the New Zealand 1990 Bill of Rights, the freedom from discrimination binds you to the human rights of the UN. So these two rights are completely different. Now, under Section 19 of the 19 Bill of Rights, then if you go to the Human Rights Act, that then